What's up, y'all? Naturegirl 30 here, and this is my review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, I'm going to talk about the good points as well as the bad points, and I'm going to do my best to try to make this video as short as possible, but we'll see where it goes. But anyway, let's talk about the good points of this entire series. Now, when it came to story arcs, Bucky by far had the most richest story arc. And he was the guy that I was rooting for the most to actually take the Captain America mantle, because he has a lot to earn back, and it's not even his own fault. He was brainwashed by Hydra, and he did a lot of bad things while he was in Hydra and brainwashed as a Winter Soldier. It actually does show in the series a lot of things that he has done, and he did his best to try to make amends, but he's still haunted by it. And what really made me root for him is that you honestly saw him grow as a person with his friendship with Sam and everything he's gone through, especially his relationship with Ao, who was a part of Dora Milaje in Wakanda. So seeing that part and seeing how he was able to snap out of it really touched her, as well as it as touching him. And seeing him grow as a person really did excite me here. I really wanted him to actually earn that mantle. But yeah, there were traces of, well, not really traces, but there were actually little hints here and there about him being a white wolf while he was in Wakanda. I would honestly love him to be the white wolf and actually see the white wolf happen. But unfortunately, we didn't really see that happen. So it's what it is, but I digress. Bucky had by far the best storyline I've ever seen. And I really was rooting for him throughout to actually take that mantle. But I'm not, for those that have already seen it, you really know who's taking that mantle. It was not Bucky, it was Sam. We kind of knew that already. But anyway, Bucky was pretty much one of the best characters in the film. And he's definitely someone who tugged at your heartstrings. But let's go into Zemo. Zemo by far is one of the coolest villains in the MCU. He's kind of beat Thanos now. I'm sorry, he has. The guy has charisma, and honestly, he has money. I had no idea he had money until my friend Irvin kind of pointed that out. Like, he was a baron before Sokovia was blown to smithereens. But anyway, the fact is, the one thing that my friend Irvin kind of put together very well is the fact that Zemo happens to be the evil version of Bruce Wayne. He is evil Bruce Wayne, as well as his butler being being evil Alfred. And especially what happens to the Flag Smashers in the end shows that he is definitely evil Alfred. But other than that, he had a lot of character. And yeah, the whole dance scene is like a meme. That's just, him doing this and dancing. That's like a meme that you just see all over the internet. But Zemo was great. And I'd rather just see the entire series with just Zemo and Bucky. Because honestly, they were the most competent in the series. I can't say the same thing for Sam. Even though Sam is black and you have to go through the whole thing about diversity issues and racial issues and stuff like that, Sam has never really seen any. I'm sorry, the fact that he was known as the Falcon, people knew his name, he didn't really see a lot of racism. And he didn't really have a lot of obstacles in his way. Everything was kind of smooth sailing for him, even though he was reckless when it came to missions. And honestly, when it came to him going to Madripoor, he was just a waste of space. He really should have stayed behind and been with his family, because who brings a cell phone to a mob meeting and not have it on mute? I'm just saying, he was just a waste of space. He really was just a stooge throughout. And I'm just like, the fact that this man actually earned the Captain America mantle blows my mind, because he didn't really prove to me that he earned it. He didn't. Honestly, the one person that would be interesting to see if they really wanted a black Captain America was Isaiah Bradley. And we know that ain't happening, because seeing Isaiah Bradley and what he has gone through, he has every right not to trust the government. He has every right not to trust America in general. He has every right to hate those stars and stripes after what happened to him. The fact that his entire life was pretty much canceled, literally, and erased from existence. He couldn't even see his own wife. Everything that has happened to him was traumatic, and I understand why he does not like the mantle of Captain America, especially everything he's gone through. And yes, Marvel kind of took a page out of the history books when it came to the Tuskegee experiments, and that was pretty much the relation of what Isaiah Bradley went through, was what happened to those gentlemen in Tuskegee. And I'm not going to go into too much detail. If you want to know, definitely look it up. It's very tragic, but it's a part of history that I know a lot of people don't want to be reminded of, but it did happen. But other than that, Isaiah Bradley went through all that. He's the one that went through the obstacles. He's the one that went through the roadblocks. Sam didn't. Just because Sam's black does not mean that everybody goes through the same strife. You have middle class African Americans that have never seen racism in their life, and you have people that are lower class that see that. They're not on the same level. And I'm not trying to make comparisons of income or finances or anything like that, but I'm saying that everybody goes through they don't go through the same struggles. They go through different struggles in life. Isaiah went through his, and Sam didn't go through much. The only thing that he struggled with was the fact that he disappeared in a snap and he wasn't there for his family. But his sister made it clear that she can handle herself on her own. So that takes care of that, right? Then there was the bank scene. Oh, there was a racial moment there. Was it? The explanation was that now that everybody has returned, there's not really a lot of loans to go around. So they made a good explanation on why the money wasn't there. It wasn't because of racism, because they knew who he was. And yes, Sam was a smug, elitist type of guy in this picture. I'm sorry. He's the type of guy that throws his name around. He's like, I can probably say that he's the black version of Johnny Cage, attitude-wise. Because, you know, Johnny Cage will always throw his name out there, what movies he was in and how big of a star he is. Sam kind of did the exact same thing, which really did get on my nerves. You would think that coming back after the snap would humble him a little bit, but nah, it didn't. Not pretty much for the first and second episodes. And as short as this entire season was, if it was longer, then maybe it would have changed my mind about Sam taking the mantle as Captain America. But since there was only 6 episodes, I really did not see that. And that's the one thing that kind of bothered me, because I don't think he earned it. And yes, let's talk about bad editing for one particular scene that really had a lot of weight. You saw Sam pretty much throwing the shield like it was natural. Like he had no problems, no struggle or nothing. Bouncing off trees, grabbing it, even though he had that recoil. The guy knew how to handle the shield. Then he was like a montage of him learning how to throw the shield in front of his nephews and him missing every time. I think it should have been switched. I think we should have saw his training montage first and then had the heart-to-heart with Bucky. I really don't know why that was switched. That was played out the way it was. But other than that, I don't think they did a good job convincing me that he was Captain America. And let's talk about the speech. And the speech was about why Kali did this and that and how the government needs to get better. There is a lot of gray in politics. It is not black and white. I am not saying that politicians don't need to straighten up, don't need to do better. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to go the political route. But there is many shades of gray. When it comes to the situation of Marvel and this whole thing about people returning after the snap, you have to deal with a bunch of vagrants in people's houses after 5 years. You have to deal with a lot of borders being united, and people who used to live there are in people's properties and everything else. It gets pretty fudgy. I'm just saying, it's not that black and white. And Sam's speech made it black and white. It is not that easy. And let's talk about Kali. Kali is probably one of the most forgettable terrorists there is, because even though she is a teenager, you didn't care much about her. And I think the reason why you didn't is because of the missing subplot. Now, there is a theory, and I honestly think that it is somewhat plausible that there was an actual subplot that has something to do with a major bioterrorist, maybe biochemical outbreak that was similar to COVID or similar to the pandemic. I'm not going to go too much into it, but the fact is there was an actual subplot that could have been similar to what is going on today, hence why they had to 86 it, and that pretty much ruined the entire film for the villains of the film. Now, I know they tried to make the terrorist group, the Flag Smashers, look like the heroes here, but we honestly didn't see any proof to see that they were. They had super soldier serum in them. They were beating up innocent people. They blew up and killed innocent people, and Kali seemed like she had absolutely no feelings about it. And yes, she was shocked when her own people were killed, but when it came to innocent people, she didn't care at all. She didn't really bat an eye. So the fact that you were defining, oh, these people aren't terrorists, oh, these people have, no. They were aware of who had to die. They were willing to kill innocent people to get their point across. They were doing that to strike fear into people. Do you think that terrorists do that? Yes, they do. So that whole speech in itself was pointless to me. But other than that, the Flag Smashers were just, if it wasn't for the missing subplot, I think they would have been stronger villains here. We would have learned a lot more about the matriarch of the Flag Smashers that died, but we knew nothing about that. They talked about the vaccines. That was 86. There were so many, there was huge gaping holes that were missing that the whole super soldier serum subplot could not fill in. There were really too many gaps, and that really hurt the villains here. Now, Val showing up out of the blue, I'm not going to really go into theories because, let's be honest, Kevin Feige has kind of stabbed us in the back when it came to that, when it came to WandaVision. So I'm not going to any fan theories here. I'm just going to wait for it to play out. But seeing Val just show up out of the blue, I'm just like, okay, yeah, where is this going? But from what I've heard, more than likely he's gonna the discount cap is gonna become the U.S. agent. We kind of knew that was gonna happen in general. But the guy who played Discount Cap, I don't know his name, but he was probably one. He played a really great heel Cap, like no doubt. He was really good at what he did. But the whole idea of soldiers taking orders only for them to be discarded when things go wrong, even though they were told to do these things, kind of makes you rethink about certain stuff. I'm not going to go too much into it, but it does make you think. And I will say one thing about the series. It really had a lot of great talking points that really want to make you talk a little bit more about it, or maybe do some deep dives, or maybe just have a discussion on the couch to friends or family about it. And I think that's a good thing. But yeah, the villains of this series was a little weak. And I think it's because of the missing subplot. And that kind of hurt them a lot. I didn't care about what happened to Colleen. I didn't care if she lived or died. Even though they tried to make a big deal, it really wasn't much to me. And the speech wasn't much either. But honestly, I don't really know how in the world that Sam was able to push up an armored car just by using his wings and jets alone, knowing that he had to use his own force to push it up. Makes you wonder what's in that suit. Like, I'm just saying, this guy has no serum in him. How do he have the strength to push up an armored car? I'm just saying. But other than that, this series was average. It wasn't bad by any means. I think if you want to watch it, you should. But it was average at best. I think there were a lot of holes that couldn't be filled by the super soldier subplot. And when it came to finding out who the power broker was, fans already pointed it out, even though it doesn't really make any sense. And there were a lot of scenes that didn't make any sense either. Seeing how that, well, I'm not going to really go into it. But anyway, I really do think that this show actually does deserve to be spoiler free. And I really do believe that people need to see this for themselves. But this show in itself is average. By far, it is 100% average, at least to me. But it's not bad. It's kind of a high average. But it's not really horrible. There was a lot of issues that I had with Sam. I think it was great what they did with Isaiah in the end. I think that Bucky had an amazing story arc, and I think that the ending was really well. It was done really well. Especially what happened to Sharon. I think that was even better. But other than that, this whole show in itself was average. I just don't think it was a 4 stars, 5 stars, amazing masterpiece. If I had to grade it, I would probably say maybe it's 3 out of 5 stars. It doesn't make it bad. It's just average. But other than that, I really think that you guys need to see it for yourself. And I don't know, have your own opinion about it. But if you have seen it, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are. Leave it in the comments below. Let me know how you feel. Let me know what you think about Sam actually taking the mantle as Captain America. Where you think it's going to go next. But other than that, y'all, I am done here. I will see y'all later. Peace out.